that might be a misconception for the general public?
It's definitely a misconception. Yeah, I mean, market goes down, your mom calls you and go, oh, you must have had a bad day,
right? Yeah, I get that call all the time.
No, it was awesome.
I'm like, it was a great day.
Great day, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to Be the Trader. Today, I have a very special episode for all of you. I have a trader who's been trading for 16 years, and he's part of Avatar Securities, which is a prop firm here in Austin. So if you haven't heard of them, definitely check them out. But today I have Michael. Michael, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. So I know I'm dying to get into this story because if you guys don't know, I meet Michael here, and I go to his desk, and I see like a 1997 keyboard with this badass screens and all this technology and all of this stuff, and I'm just like, what's going on here? So I got to know your story. So we're gonna dive into this now.
Okay.
Can you tell everybody, like, how did you even get started into trading? Like, was that like in your brain as a kid and you're just like, I want to trade?
Not really. I mean, I was always interested in gambling and that stuff, but no interest in a career. And I just had a buddy that started trading in the early 2000s at a firm here, and I was kind of just looking for a job in a transition period in life, and he's like, come check it out and see what it's like, and so I did, and yeah, it was 2004, 2005 is when I started, and completely different than it is now. It was all just tape reading, no charts really, just very inefficient market. So it was just an interesting time to learn trading back then.
So you just like hear about trading and just give it a shot right off the bat? Like, did you have any background or any type of knowledge?
No, it was more like I had nothing to lose. I was, looking for jobs in the advertising market, and just, it was a tough time. 2004 was kind of a low time in the job market. So I was like, I feel like I have nothing to lose, so let me try it out. And he said he was doing well, so let's try it out. And so just kind of jumped in, not really having too many expectations, but just jumped in.
When you said you had like a gambling kind of thought, like, oh yeah, I like the idea of gambling or something like that, what do you mean by that?
I mean, I enjoyed betting on sports and just playing cards and just doing different things growing up. I thought it was just a fun thing to do. Going to the dog track as a kid with my parents, and that was just like such a fun thing to do. So it was sort of in my blood, you could say. Just enjoyed a little bit of gamble here and there. So yeah.
Did any of those lessons, like, maybe he's too young to even think of them as lessons at the time, but do you ever think back and kind of be like, man, like this kind of relates to what I'm doing right now in terms of maybe something you took away from back in those days?
I don't think as a kid, I don't think I fully grasped that. I think later in life, different gambling adventures sort of taught me that, but as a kid, no, I wasn't aware of that. So
you started in 2004, right? Mm-hmm. What was it like for you? You said there was no charts, so that kind of hit me different because when I started, there's charts. There's all tape reading.
Yeah.
Was that easy for you to grasp because there was no charts, you feel like, or it was just one thing to focus on? Or was it as complicated?
It was a little easier then because it was so inefficient. Like, you wouldn't believe what was going on then. Like, because it was before Reg NMS, which means, right now, you put an order to the NYSE and it has to route to the cheapest venue. Like, so it doesn't really matter necessarily where your order goes. You're going to get that price. But back then, you could buy through the New York Stock Exchange and sell for 50 cents higher to ARCA, like instantly. Like, it was just that inefficient. So it was just the wild, wild west of trading back then. And that was kind of the tail end of that. So you could teach someone just to say, well, when you see this, do this. And it was very, just inefficient is the right word. So we didn't really learn chart patterns, technical analysis. I still barely know technical analysis. I mean, I look at charts, so I kind of pick up stuff, but was not really how I learned trading.
Hey, we wouldn't be able to do these face-to-face interviews if it wasn't for our sponsor, Cobra Trading. So if you can just give them a few seconds of your time, we'd really appreciate it. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah.
Then you probably saw people just come and go quick then, right? I mean, that seems like it was just way easier.
Yeah.
I could be disrespecting the game there because I just wasn't there, but it just sounds like, as you mentioned, you can easily buy here on one route and have it 50 cents more on another route. Like, it reminds me, it's not like this, but is it kind of like OTC land now where it's just kind of like there's all this lag everywhere, so it's easier to kind of like see what's coming, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
Or plan a move out. And it seems more of like arbitrage and rather...
It was arbitrage is definitely the way you put it.
Than trading now, right?
For sure. It was, I would use market orders like half the time, which now if you use a market order, you're basically licensed to get screwed, right? But that was like how I traded, because you buy on one venue and you market to the specialist on the New York Stock Exchange, and you get printed up $1. Like that was the way you learned to trade. So yeah, it was a completely different time back then when I started. So
when you learned that way, you said it was shortly in the tail end of that. So how quickly did you have to learn a different style of trading to like adapt to charting and so forth?
I mean, I don't know if I've ever adapted to charting, to be honest, but you've had to adapt. I think 2007 is when the new regulations came in where they got rid of the kind of the arbitrage situation. So it was tough. It was, I started making money about 6 months after I started trading, and, getting a paycheck, able to, feel like actually could make it in this business. And then beginning of 2007, a lot of things changed, and I couldn't make money anymore. It was about 6 months of just struggling, thinking like, okay, well maybe this didn't work out.
Yeah.
And then the end of 2007, summer 2007, I think there was like some China crisis or something that hit that just caused crazy volatility. It was like the precursor to the credit crisis. And all of a sudden, it was easy money for a while, just very inefficient market.
Was it like 2004 again?
This was 2007.
No, I mean, was it kind of like when you say inefficient?
It was less arbitrage, but more just insane volatility. I think it was the kind of sort of the early stage of like the algos. So just when you have huge market swings and you have new algorithms, it was just causing a lot of inefficiencies, and we would take advantage of that. So in 2007 into 2008, then the market just went haywire, obviously. We all know kind of what happened in 2008.
Yeah.
But that was just unbelievable time to be a trader. Our office, we were a very collaborative office. I was in a prop firm, maybe like 25, 30 guys.
Yeah.
Kind of all very collaborative, talking about what we're seeing, and it was a really cool way to trade. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
On your own, you're just not gonna know about certain things, right? So we kind of all traded as a group, and 2008 was crazy. Like pretty much every guy in the office made about 7 figures throughout that 3 or 4 months of the credit crisis. Just crazy times, and it was fun. It was fun to be a part of it.
Can you explain, because so many people who don't know trading, right? Maybe there's someone watching this who doesn't know any trading at all, and they're kind of just really getting used to learning what lingo is and so forth. You'll get those people who are probably asking themselves, well, when the market's panicking, isn't everyone losing?
Right.
But you're just telling everyone right now, like in 2008, like we were making money. Can you explain why it doesn't matter if the market goes up or down for you, the way you trade, and how that might be a misconception for the general public?
It's definitely a misconception. Yeah, I mean, market goes down, your mom calls you and go, oh, you must have had a bad day, right?
Yeah, I get that call all the time.
No, it was awesome.
I'm like, it was a great day.
Great day, yeah. No, it's classic, the market just goes down a lot faster than it goes up. So when you have a market that's going down, you're just going to have just faster moves, more volatility, more forced liquidations. That was a big part of our strategy. Was people just there was margin calls. People just had to liquidate, by end of day. So you just have these crazy moves, and we just kind of had a strategy that was able to take advantage of that. So yeah, it was just pretty wild times to be a trader, and and it was also you get calls from friends who aren't trading and going like, hey, what's going on? Should I come up there? And so we had all kinds of friends come through, and in the craziest times, but they were after kind of the easy money. It wasn't about I love to trade. It was more about let me try and catch this money, but like we all know, it doesn't really last, right? Like the crazy times. So
it doesn't. I mean, we're constantly going through cycles every time.
That's it.
Now I'm kind of skipping here because I just want to know, because you brought it up. You brought up the idea that it was kind of easy money at the time. We went through a cycle where everything was panicking. People were just liquidating. Did 2020 kind of feel that way at all to you?
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, it was.
Do you feel like that experience helped you for 20?
Yeah, I think so. It's just a different market, 12 years later, but yeah, for sure. It was one of those things, if you have experience as a trader, you're going to make money in 2020. Like it's just there's just so many opportunities every day, right? Like countless opportunities. So yeah, it's a good parallel. Yeah.
Would you say that during those times of volatility, mostly to the downside in the overall market, did you find yourself, and this could be an easy answer for you, but at the same time, I'm just curious if also maybe you knew people or maybe yourself who would still make money longing opportunities during those times?
100%. My best day ever was going just long. Like, I think the day they banned short selling with the financials was probably my best day ever. Things just crazy buying. I think maybe shorts covering everything. So I think that some of the best long opportunities are in these like bear markets.
Nice.
Rallies for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Now I want to take you back now because I didn't want to skip all the way forward, but I want to take you back to when you said I went through 6 months. I got consistent after about 6 months. Started to make a paycheck. I felt confident I could do this. And then you went for about 6 months of making nothing, right? Or struggling, you said. How did you continue? What was it? Was it something specifically for you that was holding you back? Whether it's a process-oriented thing, a mindset thing, whatever it might be, or just market. And if it was market, explain. I'm going to ask you that first.
I think it was just the strategies we were using just didn't work anymore. Is the thing. It was just inefficiencies kind of started going away, and it just became just harder to make money. That's basically it. Right?
So were you ever like worried at that time? Like maybe I'm just not going to trade anymore?
For sure. I mean, I've gone through that period many times over the years. It wasn't just then. I mean, it's a lot of times you go, well, maybe I just can't make it anymore. So, time to hang it up, look for jobs, and move on. I mean, it's part of trading, and that's something I think that's a misconception is like you just make it as a trader and you're done. You know how to trade and you'll make money. It's a constant battle of like making money, thinking you're gonna make a lot of money, and all of a sudden, you go through dry spells, and it's a very much boom and bust career. And I think it's a misconception out there for sure that it's just once you make it, it's
just smooth.
But it's not how it works. You're constantly battling, trying to survive, and ups and downs. It's just like life, right? Just peaks and valleys. And trading is just a more extreme version of that, I believe.
You obviously pushed forward. What helped you do that? Like what? Because there's someone going through it right now, right?
Oh, definitely.
And as we mentioned off camera, like for some people it might be the best market right now, and for some other traders it might not be.
Right.
So for those people where it might not be, I'm sure they're wondering like, how'd you push through those times? Because you said, and I'm so glad you shared this, that it happens throughout my career. It comes up because that's super important for people to notice because everyone, I've talked to plenty of traders off camera as well, and they share that they go through that as well. How do you push through those, especially at the beginning? Because you just had 6 months right away, boom, like you got, not right away, but you got consistent 6 months, boom. Then a dry spell. Like those first couple of dry spells that you hit, how were you able to push? And like, was it because you had like people around you? Was it just you in your head? Like, what were you saying? Like, any ideas?
I think it's just one. I love trading. It was so much fun. So it was like, I don't want to give this up. And the idea of like, working in an office, having a boss, once you taste the freedom of a trader lifestyle, you just don't want to go back, right? So it was mostly just hanging on to that idea of like, okay, I can do this, and let's just keep at it. Really, that's about it, you know.
But you were saying that a strategy just stopped working,
Right.
right? So you had to pick. What did you do at that moment? Once you discovered it to stop working, first off, how long did it take you to really discover that? Like, did you give it like a week, a month? You know, when did you make that conclusion?
I think you just look at your P&L and you go, well, I was making money pretty consistently and now I'm not. So something's obviously not working. It was just more a matter of sticking it out, you know, like just still trading, you know, trying to make money, doing what used to work, but just kind of waiting for better market opportunities was really it, you know. I mean, kind of luck, to be honest. I mean, if the market continued for 2 years of just a dead market, I probably would have quit trading, to be honest. But you know, 2007, 2008
Did you come
happened.
real close ever? Like were you actually like were maybe looking for a job? You know what I'm saying? Did you ever come
It's
close?
for sure.
Like
Over
that?
the years, multiple times where you're just like, man, this isn't working. You know, like done well in the past, you know, but that doesn't guarantee success in the future, right? So it's multiple times over the years it's happened. But you know, a lot of it's just sticking through it, and then getting lucky with the market picking up and volatility as well. So
What you're saying is it's like hopefully the goal is survive long enough, right?
Sure. That's it. I mean,
so you can get to a new market or whatever it may be.
That's such an important part. Just keep yourself in the game. You know, that's the most important part of trading, I think, because there's guys that probably quit in 2019 that were like probably good traders, but they just were like, you know, I thought 2019 was one of the tougher markets I've seen as far as volatility. I mean, you look at the number of like, you know, 1%, 2% moves in a day. I think 2019 might have been one of the lowest days of volatility. And then, you know, so guys probably quit, and then 2020 comes, and you know, anyone that knows how to trade, you know, was able to profit from that. So it's really keeping yourself in the game, not blowing up, which is not always easy, and just putting yourself in position to make money when the market's giving out money, right?
Yeah, and was there anything in your journey that really stands out to you that was kind of your Achilles heel for a while?
What do you mean exactly?
So Achilles heel, like as in, you know, some traders, you'll hear traders who know what to trade, right? They do really well for a long time, and then maybe they just have poor risk management on that one trade every 6 months or every 3 months.
Right.
Like they're profitable, but they're
Gotcha.
they're like this, and then like this, and then like this for a while, but they're profitable, but they have these little Achilles heels. They're keeping them from real growth, right?
Yeah.
Was there anything like that? Whether it doesn't have to be that example, but anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think struggling with just over trading and just battling, you know, like I'm very good about cutting my losers. Like that's something I learned early on, and it's ingrained in my brain, and that sort of has kept me in the game. Is like I don't let a single trade ever get away from me. Like it's almost a reflex. Like if things are going bad, I get out. I don't even think twice. But those days where you just battle and you're losing and you keep losing and you just kind of want to have the, you know, some positive momentum, and you just don't know when to stop. Like, I mean, those days happen all the time. They happen to everyone. You don't always hear about it because people don't like to get on Twitter and post like, oh, I just couldn't stop trading today and hit my max loss, you know, 3 different times. Like you just don't hear that, right? That's part of the game, and it's something you never completely eliminate. Okay. You just have to sort of keep it in control. One of the benefits of trading with a firm like Avatar is you can put in these risk controls to where you can really only lose a certain amount of the day, and
oh, cool.
And that helps. That's
a certain amount of the day.
A certain amount that day, like,
cool.
You know, and I'm constantly changing. It's called a daily stop loss, and I'm constantly changing that based on the market conditions and you know how I've been doing recently.
Yes.
But it's so important. Like it's not talked about enough. Is there's just certain days where you lose your mind, like you do. Like my favorite quote, and this applies to trading, poker, anything, is like Mike Tyson's quote, like, you know, dude, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? Yes. And that's so true. Like you're fine, you're trading, you're losing, but that one punch, you lose your mind, and it just sort of something takes over where you don't care. You almost don't care how much you lose. You just
isn't that
like
weird?
it's weird, and you almost never can get over that completely, in my opinion. Like, you can tame it, you can make it to where maybe you can take more punches in the day before you get to that point, but I think everyone has that point, and you need someone to sort of step in sometimes and be like, today's not your day, you know? So, you know, it happens all the time, and it's a big part of trading is, you know, if you could have someone say, hey, look, today, just step aside, save your account, because today's not your day, and you know, you're not making the good decisions. We've all been there. You know, people like to talk about it, but we've all been there.
I was just there yesterday.
Yeah, it happens, man. It happens.
It's feels a breath of fresh air to hear you say this. I'm sure for a lot of people, because there's someone who's been trading for years, right? Way hands over fist over my trading, right? And I hear it plenty of times, but I love what you just said. Like, it's something that you'll never get rid of. It's just something that you'll get better at understanding, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you'll have those moments where you might slip a little bit, right? Yeah. And that's normal. And just keep going, and just mitigate that risk, and have things in place. Like 100%. In your case, you have stop losses in place, or max loss rules, or maybe even another trader who might help you out. Be like, yo, like,
tap you on the shoulder.
What's up, brother? Let's take a quick break. Because in trading, man, and I want to get into something in a minute because you brought up like poker, right? So I want to bring in and go into that in just a second. But in trading, it's so much you got to be on your game on everything, right? You can't just be on your game in one aspect of trading, but you need to be on your game on like everything, right? It can't just be like, you know, if you skip one part of your process, it can just completely just domino affect everything of that day.
100%.
And that's something that's can be very frustrating for a lot of traders. Did you do anything in your process or over time? I'm sure now it's just complete habit, or you know, it's up to you. You let me know. But is it complete habit right now where your routine is just something you do all the time and that keeps you consistent, or is there like habits you built on, like maybe a checklist or anything like that at the beginning, or maybe you still do because you know pilots have checklists, you know, stuff like that?
I definitely have a routine, and I think you know meditation has been a big help with that as well. I think it just makes what sets you off. It takes a little bit longer, you know, when you've had a good meditation session and you've been doing it regularly. Yes. It just keeps you more in the moment, and you know, but it's still like you know those days still happen. But you know, for sure meditation helps. But just honestly, just having like a stop loss that is kind of set where, you know, it keeps you from really losing too much.
How do you gauge a stop loss for yourself?
You know what? It varies quite a bit, and it varies based on the market conditions. Like, there might be a time where I increase my stop loss by like 10 times what it is at sometimes, based on, you know, the volatility and how I've been doing recently. You know, I'm constantly adjusting it based on what I think, you know, how, you know, what I can make.
Like a daily basis constant, or like a weekly
I would
basis?
say weekly, monthly.
Okay.
You know, I'm adjusting it because, you know, like, I believe like you get to that point where you lose control, and it happens a lot. So you constantly have to put those safeguards in, but you also don't want to prevent yourself from getting stopped out on the day on a really volatile market, you know?
Yes.
I mean, that would be really frustrating. So it's a balance, you know? You just have to judge based on what you're comfortable losing in the day, and also based on what you think you can make in the market that day. So it's a constant battle for me.
I like that you're always evaluating it, because you're asking yourself questions, I'm sure. Like, how are you feeling? Like, your confidence level? What's the market doing? Is there a war going on? You know, is there Fed news? Today is Powell going to talk today? Or I've completely butchered that. So, but you know what I'm saying. Now, you mentioned something about poker a couple of times, right? And gambling.
Sure.
So now I know a little bit because we talked a little bit off camera, but you mentioned you also play poker.
Sure.
And I really wanted to go into here because, to me, I played a little bit. Yeah, I just played a little bit. But my buddy plays poker. That's something he does full time, and he just does on the side. Well, he does it full time.
Oh, okay.
And he's not a big poker player, but he's working his way up, right? Okay. But he's doing well, and we talk all the time because I love poker as a side passion. Like, I haven't played in years, but I just love the similarities between the two. Like, there's so many similarities.
100%. Yeah.
So, do you feel like poker, because you're a pretty good player, right? So, like, and I know this because I've seen some clips, and I was like, okay, I was like, that's pretty awesome. Do you feel like trading has helped you in some way with poker?
For sure. There's a lot of overlap, like you said. Like so, a lot of the key concepts, they're very interchangeable. Like bankroll management.
Yes.
Patience, not going on tilt. Like that. Those are three things that kind of make or break you as a poker player and as a trader, and they overlap for sure. So yeah, I would say doing one has helped the other, vice versa.
Do you feel like poker stepped up your game in trading then?
I think so. I think also poker is a great distraction for, sometimes trading's not going well and you go, I need to get away. Poker is a great way to like step away from the from the computer and you're still risking money, but it's
still working those principles.
Yeah, it kind of just gives you a little breather from the market, but yeah, there's a lot of overlap for sure. Man.
What do you feel like is, you said, bankroll, risk, not getting on tilt. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned meditation, right? A good meditation really helps you prevent from like kind of going on tilt or having a longer time, or as you mentioned, getting punched in the mouth multiple times before you get upset.
I honestly
right?
don't think you can completely avoid going on tilt. Like,
okay,
unless you become a robot, which I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, me
If
either.
you can become a robot, then you can probably eliminate that. But I don't think you can completely eliminate that. But I think you can make it to where it just takes a lot longer to get to that point to where.
How long do you meditate for?
20 minutes, I feel like, is the key time.
Yeah,
like
a day or
20 minutes a day. Yeah.
Morning.
Yeah, I've tried 10 minutes.
That's what I've been doing every day, 10 minutes, and I feel
10 minutes just is the beginning. Like I feel like you don't really even get going until past 15. So I really think 20 is a very important.
It's like running
level. Yeah.
You get that runner's high.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's.
No, it's very noticeable. Like
a
good meditation session.
You feel it.
Your day is very different. So it's you got to make it a part of your routine, like brushing your teeth.
Yep.
It's something you do. And
you work out too, like gym wise.
Yeah, definitely.
You do that after, before?
I actually do that after the open, like trade the open and then go to the gym. Yeah.
So meditation, trade, gym.
Yeah, it's my strategy.
Cool, man.
And then poker.
And then
we
poker.
can talk about that.
Nuts. So tell me about that. Like, I'm very curious on. Tell me about your poker story. I'm just very curious on how that started.
Yeah, it started after I started trading. About a year after I was trading, I had some friends that were kind of, playing poker seriously and doing well, and they just, showed me what they were doing, and so I started going to some local games, and I think I had some early success, and that's a big part of lasting successes in trading and poker is like you get a taste of that success early. And it makes you more interested in it, right? And I think survivorship bias is a big part of trading and poker. There's people who probably would have been great at both, but they had a bad run early and just kind of quit, lost interest. But yeah, I feel like I took an early liking to it and had some success and just kept at it. And so yeah, I was trading alongside playing poker, and it was. The early days of poker in Austin was very, very much like underground games, like what's the password kind of thing, It was very.
Nah, man, that's mine.
it was a different scene, and then
not as comfortable as it is now.
Yeah, now it's blown up. There's these legal poker rooms in Austin and throughout Texas, and things have just gone crazy. So yeah, it changed a lot. But yeah, so basically I was playing poker. Just for fun, relieve stress and just have fun, get out, and as while I was trading, and then and I just kind of continued doing both, and then started just taking poker more seriously, and then I was making money trading, so I was able to step up stakes in poker more than probably one should for my experience level, because I felt comfortable risking a lot of money at the poker table, because I felt like I could make it doing trading, right?
Yep.
So it kind of was a rise doing both at the same time. And then there was a period of after 2008 where we had a ton of success. It was
trading or poker?
In trading.
Okay.
So 2008 was like unbelievable year.
Yep.
Thinking, okay, next year is going to be amazing. We're just going to keep making money and retire in a few years. And that's just not how it worked out, right? Market completely changed, and a lot of the strategies that worked in 2008 just completely went away. 2009, 10. So it was a tough battle. I went from making 7 figures in 2008 to losing money in 2009.
Yep.
losing money in 2010, and just sort of going like, well, what's next? Like do I want to keep trading? I've done well, but it seems like right now it's not really working out.
Right.
And at the same time, I was just playing poker and was getting more into that. So I was like, you know what? Let me start taking poker a little more seriously. And then I had sort of an event in 2012 that sort of kind of forced me into poker full time. Was trading, and there was a big event, the Facebook IPO. And I don't know if you heard about kind of what happened with that.
No, go ahead.
So there was it was one of the most hyped up IPOs at its time. And there was basically an electronic glitch with the NASDAQ, where when it opened up, a lot of the orders were filled, but it didn't hit your account. So you didn't know you got filled, and you're in it without sort of knowing you were in it, or you couldn't trade out of it. I mean, it sounds absurd, but that's what happened.
What?
Yeah, so a lot of our strategies back in the day were sort of buying IPOs and hyped up IPOs and sort of flipping out of the momentum. Mm-hmm. So I went max buying power, Facebook IPO, and it opened and it's trading and my orders are still there. And I was like, oh, I guess I didn't get filled. That's weird. And then I get a call like about 30 minutes later. It's like, yeah, you're in this IPO, but you can't get out. And I was like, well, I don't understand. Like I'm used to being able to get out when I'm wrong.
Yes.
Cover my own risk. But
Jesus.
So this was just like a bizarre scenario that I've never encountered before. So I'm long this Facebook IPO, and unfortunately it's not going very well because the stock's not trading very well. It opened at 42. I think it went to 43 instantly, and then was just basically trending down all morning. Mm-hmm. And so my firm's management was basically like, well, you're in this, there's nothing we can do, and which is okay. So yeah, so basically 2-3 hours after they open, they're finally able to get the glitch under control, and it basically hits everyone's account at the same time. So all of a sudden, all these shares are in my account. I'm down about 3 points, and I'm expecting to risk like 50 cents on this trade, like max risk. I mean, there's a lot of liquidity in these IPOs, so you can get in and out of some size. But it basically opens up, and this was a street-wide thing. It wasn't just my firm,
right?
So it opens up, and it just hits everyone's account at the same time, and it instantly just trades down because everyone's just like panicking out.
Oh, geez.
And at this point, I'm down a lot more than what I have as in my account. It's right now the firm's kind of on the hook for this trade. So at this point, I'm thinking, well, maybe it goes back up. Like I'm just gonna hang on and see what happens, right? And of course, it goes down and closes at the lows of the day, and it's kind of forced to get out at that point.
Yep. And
so I lost a lot of money that day, and a few of my friends did as well. And it sort of forced me to kind of take a break and go, well, it's probably a good time to step aside and maybe look at doing something else. So risk management is something you can control, but sometimes in the market you can't control it, and that's a good lesson. Wow. Is like with like halts and different things, regulatory things. Sometimes there's things just out of your control.
Yep.
And that was one thing that sort of had a big effect on my career. So after that trade, I decided just to jump in poker full time and pursue that and see kind of where that took me. And that was a wild ride for a while. I started playing a lot of events, travel all over the world, played in the Bahamas,
and what's just some
Australia.
Clips, because you played. yeah, professional poker.
Started playing every big World Series main events, a lot of stuff. So, and I had some big success early on. Went really deep in the 2012 main event and got a lot of cool TV coverage and then started traveling just all over the world, just playing tournaments, cash games, and just all in that scene. And it was had a great time. Yeah. And I did that for about 2 years, and then realized I don't know if this is sustainable with like a lifestyle of being married and wanting kids and all that. Poker wasn't really too big in Austin yet, so and I sort of had that itch to get to trade. Like I it was in my blood. I love trading. So after a couple of years of traveling the world and doing that, I decided, let me give this trading thing a shot again.
That's like 2000 what?
2014.
Okay, cool.
So I decided to jump back in and just and see what trading was like now. I'd been pretty much out of the game. And
2 full years, pretty much.
2 full years of not really doing any intraday trading. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, look, before we start to wrap this up, because
Okay.
first off,
Sure.
I know people are going to be livid because I want to dive into further.
Okay.
But we're going to have you back because we're going to have to talk about all of this. But
Sure.
I want to ask you one last question.
Okay.
If you could personally go back
Okay.
to the 6 months you got consistent
Mm-hmm.
and then you hit that first dry spell and give yourself a word of advice and just tell yourself, you just have like 2 minutes to talk to yourself.
Okay.
And before time lapse close or whatever you want to call it, what would you tell yourself?
I would say if you want it bad enough, you've got to stick it out, and you've got to just pursue any option to stay in the game. Whether it's reach out to other traders and find out what's working for them.
Yep.
Cut back on expenses. That's another thing. Is like you can make a lot of money and you start living a certain lifestyle, but you have to realize it's
You can lose
inconsistent. You can lose it back, so you can't get used to that certain lifestyle. So, don't live like your best month, right? Like, don't pretend like that's the norm, right? And just and cut back and grind it out. And if you love it enough, keep at it. That's basically what I would tell anyone.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
look, man, I appreciate so much for having
Okay.
you on the show. I learned a lot.
Okay.
And man, if there's anything, so sorry, but if there's a way that people can contact you, or maybe they will have questions, what do you think they should do?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'd love to say we have a prop firm here in Austin, Texas called Avatar Securities, and it's a fairly new thing in the last like 4 or 5 months, and we're building out a really cool group of traders here. And if anyone wants to come down and visit, check out the office and trade with us, that'd be great.
Do you have a Twitter handle?
Yeah, I can put it in the show notes or whatever.
Cool. We'll put it on there, and then
yeah.
we'll link it below. So
Okay.
thanks so much, Michael. Appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Yep.